This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
Just ahead on a special Carolina Impact. Education in a pandemic. At least one area college has found a way to keep COVID under control. In some South Carolina schools, students attend in-person classes 5 days a week, and families juggle return to school and work. It's a new kind of normal in education, and we're going to see it up close. Our Carolina Impact special, Education in a Pandemic, starts right now.
Carolina Impact, covering the issues, people, and places that impact you. This is Carolina Impact.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Amy Burkett. You've seen the headlines from the big state universities, campuses canceling in-person classes, sending students home, even delaying the start of the school year, all because of clusters of COVID they couldn't control. It's the same story at a lot of smaller private colleges in the Carolinas, too. How do they keep students safe from coronavirus? And if students do get sick on campus, what then? Jeff Saunier joins us from one local school where, for now at least, they're winning the fight against the virus.
Changing leaves, changing classes. It all seems so normal here at Belmont Abbey College. Students aware of COVID, but more afraid of what they might miss because of COVID.
I was able to have pretty much all of my classes in person with masks 6 feet apart, and so that was really normal.
And the college itself also ready for a return to normal, or at least something close to normal.
It's trying to do normal in an abnormal time.
That's a great way. I'm going to steal that. No, seriously, that's exactly it. We're going to open in person. So this was the intent. We're going to do this darn thing, and this means a lot to us. So let's do it well.
But at Belmont Abbey, normal pretty much went out the window when within weeks, coronavirus came to campus.
And one morning I was running and I just felt really bad shortness of breath.
Grace Hetzel competes in track and cross country for Belmont Abbey, and when she couldn't finish her morning workout, well, she knew something was wrong as she arrived back at her apartment on campus.
And at that time, I tried to smell my candle, and I couldn't smell anything. So I was like, I think that I know what this is.
In the moment, it must have been frightening, a little bit scary.
Yeah, it was. And the biggest thing was just guilt, especially, at the beginning when it kind of was spiking, a big sense of responsibility. That was the biggest fear, was did I give it to someone else?
The following day, Grace's COVID test came back positive, but by then, she was one of hundreds affected.
So really during the first 3 or 4 weeks, we saw a tremendous rise in positive cases. So at our kind of highest moment, we were somewhere between 65 and 68, fluctuating fairly regularly. When we had one person living in a suite with 7 other people, we immediately quarantined the other 7. So it wasn't just the 65, but it was the other 150 that were quarantined because of that.
What Belmont Abbey was facing then is the same situation that forced many large UNC campuses to close down.
Pretty good semester, and then, everything kind of hit the fan. And
we caught up with Ryan Prusia on moving out day last school year, when everybody here at UNC Charlotte thought they'd be moving back in August.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen next year. We might not even come back in the fall.
Yep, turns out Ryan's prediction back in May was right. His move in here at Belk Hall on hold. His senior year online for weeks, as UNC Charlotte told 30,000 students to stay at home and learn at home until October.
Very eerie, just like a dead campus.
But back here at Belmont Abbey, they were also finding out that when coping with COVID, that bigger isn't necessarily better.
In the plus column for us is that as a small campus, I think we have this ability to be nimble.
Provost Travis Fizel says the college used these temporary modular dorms on campus to quarantine all roommates and other possible COVID contacts, while infected students like Grace Hetzel were isolated in nearby hotels.
I did have some symptoms of body aches that developed on when I was in isolation. I had just bad body pains and body aches and headaches and things like that, but they lasted for about 3 days and then I was fine.
And as Grace and other students started coming out of quarantine, the number of new COVID cases on campus at Belmont Abbey started dropping all the way to 0. You've had 0 cases among your resident students?
Yes.
0 among your faculty?
Yes.
And your staff?
Yes.
Wow, after that spike, that's
Yes.
remarkable.
Was there a moment where we will just call it all off and go home? And my consistent answer, our consistent answer was, when we can no longer manage this.
But manage it they did. Belmont Abbey figuring out on the fly how to quarantine 10 times more students than they planned for, how to safely deliver those students their daily meals in person and their daily classes online, and how to keep the rest of the campus up and running, normally, sort of.
Students now began to move into a kind of normalized activity of wearing masks, making sure they were wearing masks, working with each other as peers to say, you need to put your mask on, or social distancing.
I still have no idea how I got it, there was a moment of fear of like, oh my gosh, I don't know what this is, and I have it. You see the news and it's this really scary thing. I felt so grateful when I came out of it because so many people were so personally in touch with me and I felt so watched out for and cared for. We don't want to get sent home. We all want to be here. Please, follow these things, do what you can, quarantine. We want to be here.
For Carolina Impact, I'm Jeff Sonia reporting.
Thanks so much, Jeff. At pbscharlotte.org, you'll find a link to an interactive map that shows how more than 3,000 colleges and universities nationwide are coping with COVID. It's part of a research project at Davidson College called the College Crisis Initiative. Some parts of our region return to the classroom sooner than others. In Fort Mill, South Carolina, the elementary schools are now operating 5 days a week with in-person classes. Carolina Impact's Suzette Rhee went there to talk to parents, students, and school officials about how it's going so far.
It's carpool time at Tega Cay Elementary School in the Fort Mill, South Carolina School District. From the looks of it, it's hard to believe there's a pandemic going on, as all this looks remarkably normal, like before the pandemic. But look closer, and you'll see the signs, literally. Almost a third of the system's students are learning from home in the school system's virtual academy.
It's the first time we've ever had one in the district, and so far we had about 30% of our students who signed up for the virtual academy to start the year. And the way we structured that, because of how class scheduling works, our elementary and middle school kids, their commitment was for a year-long process inside of the virtual academy.
Social media posts show how that's going, everyone acclimating to a whole new world. But the system had the bigger task of in-person learning and what that would look like.
We ended up settling on the AB model to start with for all of our students. And that was done partly out of safety, partly to keep the social distancing possible. We did transition our elementary students to full 5-day in a family model. So a lot of planning, a lot of training, even training for our teachers went into getting ready for this school year, because it looks different than any year we've ever had before.
While parents are not allowed in school, they can see through social media and emails from teachers exactly what their children's day looks like. Desk shields in classrooms and masks everywhere, worn by everyone.
All of our students and staff are wearing masks at all times on buses and in schools, other than when we figured in socially distant breaks for that.
This is my oldest, Robert, in 6th grade. And Elena, she's in 4th grade. And Andrew's in 1st grade. And Rachel's in 3rd grade.
Parents like Elizabeth Hildebrand, mom of 4, are comfortable with the system and grateful for the choice of in-person learning.
Yes, I'm so thankful. It would be really hard to do virtual with I have 4 kids, so it would be hard to do 4 computers at home, trying to keep everybody on all day.
The Hildebrands are walkers, the students who can walk to school, so mom and oldest brother are here to guide the youngest 3 home. Each child has finished a full day of school. That's now 5 days a week.
The AB model for elementary ran for the first 4 weeks of school, and mostly that was done to be able to get the kids in, have them understand the new protocols that they'd be facing under the family model, because in that model they are in the classroom all day without transitioning to other classrooms. They eat breakfast and lunch in the classroom. So we needed to get the kids prepared for that.
But not all parents here were on board at first.
We decided initially we were going to go virtually, completely, and then about a week before school started, we talked to the principal and the teachers and the school nurse, and they assured us that they had a really good program in place. to distance them and give them some protection, and they would wear their mask and limit the amount of contact they'd have, and we decided that it was the right decision.
Steve Bishop's daughters certainly agree, and even during a pandemic, children have that remarkable ability to find the good in their circumstances.
How do you like school? I mean, how's it going?
Amazing, but before it was even more amazing because A Day was all girls and B Day was all boys. So then we did a girl party and it was amazing.
For me, to see them adjust has been pretty incredible. We actually moved from San Diego to here last year, so that was a huge adjustment. And they handled that well. So I figured, if they can handle a cross-country move, they can handle COVID 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
A lot of COVID.
Parent support is key, but the district has also taken steps to earn that trust.
We are monitoring it every day. We created a new position to be over the COVID coordination in our district, and that person constantly tracks the contact tracing whenever we get a report of a positive case.
That data is shared through a dashboard on its website, which shows the COVID impact at every school, broken down by students and staff. And the most important message to parents during this pandemic?
Just be patient. That's one of the key things. I think that if that's not the biggest message to everybody in this situation, is just be patient. Everybody has the same goal. We want to get back to our normal education. We want to be back in schools full time and dealing with all of the great things that happened during a school year that we're missing right now. But we have to be patient until we can get to a point where we can do that safely.
Fort Mill school officials say a key to their success has been being able to make the decisions for themselves and their 17,000 students. Now that's far different than, say, here in Charlotte, where the CMS system has some 150,000 students. And therein lies the key to delivering education in the pandemic. One size does not fit all. For Carolina Impact, I'm Suzette Ree reporting.
Thanks so much, Suzette. Well, everyone has their own perspective of what teaching is like these days. Veteran educator and Fort Mill Teacher of the Year, Nicole Lefebvre, tells us in her own words.
Well, first of all, I think that all of us were happy to come back. I think we were tired of teaching at home. But for me personally, and a lot of my teacher friends and acquaintances that I've spoken to, once we saw how seriously the district and the administration and other teachers were taking COVID-19, all of the protocol they put into place, from a health perspective, I've personally felt very good about the decision to come back to school. As far as the AB schedule goes, I do like that. It's nicer to have those smaller class sizes. I feel safer, again, from a health perspective with the smaller class sizes. I think a difficult thing right now for teachers is doing the online lessons and the face-to-face lessons, and making sure that students are engaged on their days that they're off or their virtual learning days that they're at home, making sure the lessons that we provide are engaging, communicating with the parents when students aren't necessarily doing their virtual work. I have a lot of kids that come hang out with me at lunch, and they know they can hang out in my room at lunch and just work. I've started to attempt some socially distant group work. I think at first I was just like, everyone, stay in your seat, don't get anywhere near each other. We only get up when we're sanitizing our desks. Now I feel a little more comfortable doing more collaborative group work. They can still do it on their computers. They can still be socially distant. So I think the more the students have become comfortable with this new reality, the more they're beginning to open up. It's just taken a little bit longer than a normal school year would. I'm one of those people that I like the noise. I like the chaos. I thrive in, as I call it, I say my classroom is controlled chaos. I definitely miss how it used to be. I miss eating lunch with my colleagues. I miss really feeling like I'm making a connection with my students. I try, but there are some days that I don't feel like I'm making that connection that I normally would at this point in the school year. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I miss faculty meetings. I miss that camaraderie with my fellow educators. You know, and I also just remind myself that they're kids. Kids aren't always going to make the mature, responsible decision. I think that what I have to remember is that I'm stressed, my students are stressed, their parents are stressed. I think right now teachers are just working to support those students and also to support those parents, using things like Google Classroom or any other sort of online agenda so that when a parent is home with their child, they can look and see exactly what it is they need to do and help them out. I really thought that health-wise that was going to be my biggest stress, but it's really turned out not to be my biggest stress personally, just because of all the protocols. Students are following them, teachers, administration is enforcing them, parents are supporting them, the district supports it. So the thing that I thought was going to be the biggest stress is not my biggest stress.
Thanks so much, Nicole. For many families, education in a pandemic has been like a roller coaster. Carolina Impact's Jason Terzis shows us a family of 4 juggling 2 jobs and 2 schools.
It's dinner time at the Vasquez home in Huntersville. Tonight's menu featuring traditional Mexican fare, quesadillas, avocados, and vegetable shrimp soup. While classic mariachi music plays from Alexa, brothers Moises and Sebastian kid around, as brothers often do, with a mix of English.
I need to be a little bit older to do it, Papi, like the school used.
And Spanish spoken at the dinner table. Toss in Prince, who's one very well-trained dog, and the Vasquezes are a lot like any other family. And just like many American families, the Vasquezes' daily routine was thrown into disarray when COVID hit back in March.
COVID has definitely changed the structure in our house more than anything.
It's been a stressful time.
It definitely hit us pretty hard. It hit us pretty hard in the way of adjusting to a new norm.
The boys managed to finish out last school year, but with remote learning continuing into this fall, adjustments only continued.
Thankfully, my oldest one knew how to access the system for CMS. My 8-year-old Sebastian had never gone into the system, never knew how to reply to an email, didn't know how to maneuver the online site, and neither did I never had to.
8-year-old Sebastian is now a 3rd grader at Barnett Elementary School.
I can take breaks after my work. I can do Epic. I can play with my toys for a little bit.
It hasn't been easy for him. It hasn't been easy for him to not see his friends or even meet the teacher. It's been tough.
13-year-old Moises is a 7th grader at nearby Francis Bradley Middle.
When we first did it, it was very kind of hard. But now that we've been doing it for a while, it's kind of easier now.
I saw Power School today. You did a good job. And he doesn't need a lot of supervision. He's been doing great. He's been turning his work in. He's been putting the effort. On the contrary, he's been working more. Sometimes we got to tell him to get off the computer and come have dinner.
Father Joshua works for Atrium Health as a language access coordinator. With there always being a need for translators, he's been going into work every day. So the family was thrilled when Mother Claudia was allowed to work from home.
My manager emailed me immediately, even without me asking, and said, you can work from home moving forward and we'll play it by ear as this thing is so fluid.
So we had to kind of really sit down and strategize, okay, what are we going to do?
Working in HR for a major Charlotte corporation, Claudia had just been promoted before the pandemic hit, and that changed everything.
The travel was, put on pause. No one was traveling, which made it challenging. You're coming into a new role and you can't travel, you can't go anywhere.
But the hardest part for Claudia, trying to get acclimated to a new role, doing it remotely while also keeping an eye on the kids.
Sebastian's definitely, a lot of questions, and Mommy, I need help, and Mommy, they logged me off, because I had to use the restroom. They thought I wasn't paying attention, things like that.
Did you bother Mommy today a lot with questions?
But he's learned to pass notes through the door and ask for help. Or sometimes I'm working here and I can hear the teacher struggle with him, how to navigate the website, and so I'm having to step away and help him.
Yeah, because I have Messenger Kids and I can text her.
On top of all this, the Vasquezes moved during the pandemic, selling one house and moving into another. That added a whole new layer of stress to an already tense situation.
And we moved too, so in the middle of a pandemic, we moved too, so it was the packing, the moving, and that stress came along with, school and working. So, thankfully we're a little bit settled, but not quite.
The message at Barnett Elementary says it all. Welcome back, students. We missed you. with kids in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools now slowly returning to the classroom.
Now I'm going back to school on Thursday.
Sebastian at least is very happy to know that he's going back to the class. For me, I'm nervous because I don't know what to expect.
It's a day-by-day thing, yeah.
While weekdays have certainly been hectic and unpredictable these last 8 months, the evenings at home at least bring a sense of normalcy. Simple things like family dinners, unloading the dishwasher, and getting some quality family time in front of the television are all welcome normalcies in an otherwise abnormal time. For Carolina Impact, I'm Jason Terzis reporting.
Thanks so much, Jason. Navigating these uncertain and unprecedented times is an emotional challenge, too. Experts say you have to think about and prioritize mental health issues during this pandemic. Here's some advice from mental health counselor Jennifer Feitz.
We know that in order for our brain to feel safe, it needs 3 things: structure, consistency, and predictability. And it's that predictability piece that's come up for so many of us during this time period, which has then created major anxiety. Because if I can't predict what's coming, that anticipatory anxiety of, I don't know what's going to happen. We still need to be getting out of bed at the same time every day, right? No matter whether for some students, like today I go to school, today I don't go to school. We need to get outside so you can create some of that structure and the consistency. You know, on Mondays we do X, on Tuesdays we do Y, right? Like you still can build that into your day. And I think that's one of the biggest things that parents and individuals can offer to themselves and then to offer and create for their students. You know, as adults, it's okay to not have the answer to the question as long as what you're adding is that emotional stability. Hey, you know what? I don't know what it's going to look like, you know, come the spring, or what it's going to look like for, you know, sports or travel. But you know what? We're going to figure it out. First step of problem solving is information gathering. Okay, what do I need to be able to solve my problem? Well, if you can tell me what's getting in the way of you feeling safe or secure, or what's getting in the way of you feeling connected to your friends, or what's getting in the way of you progressing in this schoolwork. Sometimes students may not yet know and have made that connection that they're feeling something. They can feel it in their body. They're not sleeping well, their stomach is upset, they have headaches, right? Whatever it be, they're more tired, they're not tired. And so really being able to just kind of be present for your kid, not necessarily feeling like you have all the answers, but just a willingness to engage the conversation.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. What's involved in technically delivering remote education? We asked Central Piedmont Community College Vice President of Information Technologies, David Kim, to share his perspective.
When we started with the COVID, we recognized that we had to change very quickly. One of the things that we recognized was that it wasn't just a matter of the services that we provide here on campus. How do we reach out to students and families where they weren't prepared for this? They were absolutely not ready because they were dependent on coming on campus to receive the services. And so scaling up meant more than just setting up our infrastructure or our data center. When it came to COVID, here's one thing that we recognized: the circumstances was not normal. So the question had to change it. Do you have sufficient laptops or internet connection for you to be able to do your work? And that change was just a recognition that it wasn't just about having one, but was it sufficient for that particular family? We looked towards cloud. Technology was shifting so that we can deliver this cloud to the students regardless of where they are. So that was a venture that we started 3 to 4 years ago. But thank goodness that when this happened, we were able to lean on that. Here's the bright side that we've learned. Again, we recognize our students are in different places. They have different challenges. And so we found that students can't come on campus because they have childcare issues or they were sick. And so what happens is that they will miss out on that learning opportunity because they couldn't come on campus. Well, now that we can actually deliver the education virtually, this is an option for us. So some of us are looking at options called HyFlex or blended synchronous learning. What that means is that, what if we now have an opportunity where students can learn in class, because people prefer that sometimes. They want to see face-to-face and learn through that experience. But what if that student can't get on the bus, or they've missed an opportunity, or childcare wasn't possible? They don't have to miss that lesson, because now they can also join their fellow students virtually at the same time.
Thanks so much, David. Here are some final thoughts. The Brookings Institute shows 4 emerging trends in education because of COVID-19. First, it is accelerating the inequality in our education systems. Second, there's a leapfrog moment where innovation becomes the center of education systems. Third, there is rising public support and recognition for just how essential schools are in our society. And finally, education has new allies to support children's learning like never before. Finding and implementing new lessons may make our education system stronger than before. Well, thanks so much for joining us for Carolina Impact's special Education in a Pandemic. Good night, my friends.
A production of PBS Charlotte.